Thank you. The introduction will be shifted to the members. We can start with the board chair.
Good morning, Chair. Thank you for inviting us to this important. Thank you for the compliments. And then just to assure you that we'll continue to comply with whatever you demand from us. And then, again, the usual protocol, we start with introducing ourselves to you. And with myself, I am Mohamed Nfspmc, board member.
Good morning, I am Mohamed Njai, Managing Director.
Good morning, I'm Alaji Bari, Finance Director.
Good morning, I am Omar Javid, Senior ICT Officer.
Good morning, I'm Thomas Flowers, Director for Strategy Development and Planning.
Good morning, my name is Lamin Sanyam, Deputy Managing Director.
Good morning, I am Jabuba, Director of HR and Administration.
Good morning, Abdullah Ture, Director of Depot and Logistics.
Good morning, my name is Lamin Fofana, Manager Business Development.
Good morning, my name is Augustus Prom Jr., representing the external auditors, Augustus Prom. Thank you so much for the wonderful introduction. I want to observe the absence of the board chair and the deputy. Can we have an explanation?
The board chair is
Pardon?
I'm representing the board chair.
Why are they absent? Pardon?
He's not indisposed. I don't think
He's feeling well. Well, how about the deputy? Is the deputy? Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, we can proceed. We can go to the next item on the agenda. That is the administration of affirmation of oaths. Anybody that is going to do the presentation will be on the oath, ranging from whether you are going to give a comment as a chair, the MD and the finance director for various presentations. So the clerk will come around to administer the oath and the external audit too.
I
do hereby affirm that I will speak the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. We can now move to the presentation. We'll start with the activity report, since we have the But before, if you have anything to...
Yes. I just want to inform you that the presentations will be made by the Managing Director and the Finance Director. The activity report will be presented by the Managing Director, Mr. Manu.
Chair, and other honorable members here present, our auditors, subject matter specialists, my colleagues from National Banking Corporation. I want to begin by expressing our appreciation for the comments that you have made. We want to assure you that we will continue to comply with all the requirements of this committee, and we will do our best to enhance the quality of our reports as much as possible. The 2021 financial year was very challenging, as the corporation purchased a total of 7,489 metric tons. This was an increase of about 235% compared to 2,225 tons purchased in the previous season. Several factors contributed to this low groundnut intake. Low groundnut production affected the entire Senegambia region. Late start of the rains and a brief drought caused loss of seeds through poor or non-germination of their first planting. This resulted in lowering the final national area planted with groundnuts and hence reduced production. Business performance. The corporation's operating revenue for the year ended 30th September 2021 increased by 66% from 612 million in the previous financial year to $1,118 million for the period under review. The increase was due to more intake of groundnuts processed compared to the previous year by 235%. The corporation's net profit increased by 127% from a loss of 139.77 million in the previous financial year to a profit of $38.7 million in the current financial year. The increase in profit was mainly due to cost-containment measures management implemented, which led to relatively lower cost of sales and minimal costs associated with stock losses. On the international production of groundnuts, it is on page 2 of the activity report. World production of groundnuts is over 37 million tons, with China and India being biggest producers. But they also consume most of what they produce, leaving little for international trade. The Gambia's production average of 100,000 tons represents about 0.2% of world production, and consequently, the country has no influence on the price of groundnuts and groundnut products. Trade in groundnuts and groundnut products are being negatively affected by aflatoxin contamination. It is expected that African countries will soon regain their position in the edible groundnut trade to Europe, with the aggressive efforts being made by the Partnership for Aflatoxin Control in Africa, they are called PACA, in finding solutions to aflatoxin contamination. There is more money to be made from the sale of edible groundnut kernels. In the meantime, getting preferential trade tariffs with China will improve export earnings from the groundnut sector and therefore those of the producers. Pages 3 to 4, that's where we talk about the handling and processing infrastructure of the activity report. The corporation has the following handling and processing facilities. We have 10 depots strategically located along the River Gambia, which serve as collection points for purchased groundnuts from the primary buying agents. Yes. 10 barges with carrying capacity of approximately 2,000 tons for the evacuation of groundnuts from the depots to the processing plants. The number is inadequate. The requirement is above 3,500 tons per barge trip. A shelling plant to decorticate groundnuts into edibles and for crushing into oil and cake. All these plants are old and ineffective. Page 4 is where we talk about the crop finance. In its continued efforts to mitigate the high cost of financing from international banks, which was Nfspmc at that time, and the associated cost of repaying in hard currencies, and in order to allow for the payment of better producer prices to the farmers, the corporation, through the Ministry of Finance and Economic Affairs, sought and obtained financing from Ajib Bank Gambia Limited. The total crop financing portfolio approved for the 2020-2021 season was $1 billion at 8% financing cost. This amount was utilized for the purchase, handling, processing, and export of groundnuts, raw cashew nuts, and for the purchase of agricultural inputs, which is fertilizer. Pages 4 and 5 talked about the financing to the CPMS and other agents. The corporation changed its business model by engaging Ajib to buy groundnut from farmers in order to control the risk associated with cash handling. The corporation usually purchases the bulk of the groundnuts through primary buying agents using a combination of direct purchase and pre-financing. In the season under consideration, the pre-financing in Gambian dollars was Ajib disbursed 158,662,355 directly to the farmers. We also pre-financed few traders, costing us $6,748,528. And the traders that pre-financed themselves, we paid them $24,923,775. A total of $190,334,658 was disbursed. Pages 5 and 6 also a continuation of the purchasing. The corporation planned to purchase 50,000 metric tons in 2020-2021. The corporation simulated farm gate prices per ton based on the spot international prices for groundnut products as shown below against Government of the Gambia approved prices. In our simulation, we indicated that we are able to buy it at 13,700. Government also did a simulation on their own to buy it at 20,700. So the difference of 7,000 was paid as a subsidy by the government. Actual purchases for 2020-2021 was 7,489.470 metric tons, which is 85% below the planned figures. Pages 6 to 7, we talked about the evacuation of groundnuts to processing plants. In the year under review, evacuation started on the 27th December 2020 and ended on the 15th of May 2021. 7,029.530 metric tons were evacuated and transferred to the selling plant. The process experienced stock losses of 459.94 tons, representing 6.14%. This is high and it is above the upper threshold of the norm of between 1.5 to 3.5% for agricultural commodities. The factors that contributed to the loss, insect damage and pulverization of damage to the nuts during evacuation as a result of the trueness. Processing activities, pages 7 to 8. Selling. The results of selling for the evacuated stocks were as per the table below in tons. The groundnut inputs in sale that was received by the plant is 7,334 metric tons. Out of that, we generated a HPS, which is hand-pick selection, which is the clean kernels, of 2,250 metric tons. And there was an FAQ of 2,812 metric tons used for the crushing of oil. So in total, out of the farmer stock, there was a total yield of 69.02%. The results of the crushing of FAQ stocks were as per the table below in tons. Total FAQ received by the plant was 2,812 metric tons. Out of that, we were able to generate 944 metric tons of crude oil and 1,732 metric tons of groundnut cake, representing a yield of 95.16%. Page 9, we talked about the export of groundnuts. The products obtained from the processing activities of purchased farmer stocks were all exported. In addition to the sale of fertilizer, the corporation made a turnover of $1 billion and $18 million in 2020. Pages 9 to 10. Part of the crop financing was used for the purchase of fertilizer as per the table below. Compound fertilizer 15-15-15 was 4 MGO, the magnesium 10,000 metric tons was imported. 6-20-10, 7,000 tons imported. Urea 46%, 3,000 metric tons imported at a CIF value of $11,480,000. Page 13, is on cashew processing and export. Due to the low tonnage of groundnuts purchased during the season, 1,234 metric tons of raw cashew nuts were purchased and sold during the period under review. We still continue on the IDB financing of the new project. In order to address the constraints of all infrastructure, a project proposal was formulated and financing sought from the Islamic Development Bank. Approval was obtained to the tune of $30 million, of which $2 million was government counterpart contribution. The components are the installation of a 350 throughput selling plant, a 350 throughput crushing plant, a cogeneration plant to use industrial waste and biomass to generate electricity, purchase of barges, construction of a slip road, rehabilitation of depot handling and storage facilities, and technical studies. The project highlighted from pages 21 to 28 of the activity report is now under implementation, with some components already delivered with lots of challenges. Commissioning of the cogeneration plant is expected to be completed by the end of June 2024. Pages 11 to 14, groundnut production and quality assurance. The corporation faces challenges of low purchase of groundnuts because of low production. Aflatoxin contamination in groundnuts is making access to international markets very difficult. When access to these markets is given, price of products are usually discounted by up to 35% due to the quality of the products. In other words, if we don't have access to the European market, the prices are discounted by 35%. The corporation has been piloting a project with support from PACA, USAID, ITFC, ITC, and TICA to mitigate the issue of aflatoxin contamination in groundnuts. Pages 15 to 16 talk about the producer price subsidy. The corporation welcomes government's intervention as duty of care in subsidizing prices to the farmers for the purchase of fertilizer and the sale of groundnuts. However, failure to settle these subsidies on time threatens the going concern of the corporation. Pages 11 to 20 of the activity report, we highlighted the challenges of the groundnut sector and made recommendations on the way forward. Looking ahead, the year under review as Nfspmc proved to be very challenging, but the corporation was able to turn around its performance from consistently making losses in the previous financial years to profit, mainly due to measures put in place by management to contain costs and improve revenue generation. Our priority is to move to the next stage in our strategy journey, to become a major force in the groundnut sector. This means taking advantage of all the benefits available from our unique business model. Furthermore, the corporation is planning to diversify into the commodity trading to ensure availability and improve price stability. Our team are on board in implementing the corporation's transformation agenda, and they have embraced the challenge we have given them to transform them into a highly professional and competent team. I am confident that together we will continue to deliver excellent results for our shareholders and for each of our stakeholders as we embark on the 2022 and 2023 financial year. I extend my sincere gratitude to the Board of Directors for the guidance and insights its members have provided. I must also thank the various National Assembly Select Committee select committees for the support rendered in addressing some of the challenges faced as a corporation. We also thank our line ministry, the Ministry of Finance, and by extension the Office of the President, for supporting the corporation during our difficult moments. More importantly, our employees for their dedication and commitment in executing our transformation strategy. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, LD. So, Chair, we go to the next one. That's the financial statement. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The financial presentation is categorized into three main areas. That's the profit and loss, the balance sheet, and the cash flow of the corporation. On the profit and loss, which is the statement of financial performance, The performance of the corporation during the period ended September 2021 is as below. For the revenues, you refer to page 8 of the main report that is with you for the financial statements. The total revenue generated was 1,086 million in 2021 compared to 836 million in 2020. This is an increase of 30%. Of the total revenue reported during the period under review, 1 billion relates to operating revenue. In 2020, the operating revenue was 612 million, whilst 68 million relates to non-operating revenue. Non-operating revenues, as opposed to operating revenue, is not directly dependent on the sale of products. It includes things like interest earned on term deposits, interest on staff loans, interest on overdue debts, sale of scrap metals. The increase in revenue during the period under review, when compared with the same period in 2020, is mainly attributed to the higher intake of groundnut processed over the previous years. On the expenditure side of the income of the profit and loss, also on page 8 of the main report, total cost inclusive of interest and similar charges for the period under review was 1,047 million. In 2020, total cost was 968 million. When compared to 2020, total cost increased by $79 million, that is 8%, during the period under review. The increase in total cost was mainly attributed to the increase in groundnut stock intake by 235%, and increase in financing cost by 247%. The production and processing cost and administrative expense reduced by 35% and 17% respectively. The reductions were mainly due to cost containment measures management implemented, which led to relatively lower processing costs and admin expenses and minimal costs associated with stock losses. On the bottom line of the corporation, the gross profit for the period was $156 million, compared to a gross loss of $194 million in 2020. When compared with the same period in 2020, gross profit increased by $350 million, that's 180%. This was mainly due to the lower cost of sales, lower conversion and processing costs, and increased intake of stock, which led to higher revenues compared to 2020. The profit before interest and tax increased by 206% from a loss of $128 million in 2020 to a profit of $136 million. That's before interest and tax. Now, if we go to the balance sheet, which is statement of financial position. For non-current assets, that's tangible fixed assets, we refer to page 23 of the main report. The net book value of tangible fixed assets stands at $229 million, reduced by 3.3% from its value of $236 million. This was mainly due to the depreciation of the assets. On the bank and short-term investments, that also we refer to page 24 of the main financial statements. Banks and short-term investment of the corporation increased by 11%, from $181 million in 2020 to $200 million in 2021. The increase was mainly due to controlled cash disbursements, cost containment measures, and interest earned on time deposit. Inventory, refer to page 25 of the main financial statements. Inventory increased by 210%, from 26 million in September 2020 to 83 million in 2021. The increase was mainly due to the challenges of booking shipping containers for export of vegetable crude oil and HPS. This was around the COVID time, and HPS groundnut during the COVID pandemic. On the receivables, we refer to page 25 of the financial statement as well. The debtors increased from 212 million in 2020 to 574 million in 2021. This was mainly due to the outstanding subsidy payments from the government. On the liability side, that also is page 9 of the main financial statement. The liabilities increased by 48% from 812 million in 2020 to 1.2 billion in 2021. This was mainly due to the outstanding crop finance from AGIC yet to be repaid as a result of the outstanding government subsidy. Share capital and reserves. We refer to page 9 of the same financials. The issued share capital remains unchanged at $75,500,000. The reserves retained earnings increased by 17% from a retained loss of $229 million in 2020 to a reduced retained loss of $190 million in 2021. This was mainly due to the profit after tax of $38.7 million realized during the reporting period. On the liquidity portion of the financials, that's the cash flow statement, we refer to page 12 of the main report. The cash position of the corporation increased by 140% from $51 million in September 2020 to $124 million in 2021. This was mainly due to the efficient cash management measures implemented by the corporation. On the highlights, in terms of ratios, just to interpret some of this, the trade receivables collection period, we refer to page 8 and 9. That's how long it takes for the corporation to be able to collect its debts. The number of days it takes to collect our debt on average increased from 126 days to 206 days in 2021. This was mainly due to the outstanding subsidies overdue from our main debtor is the government of the Gambia. We subsidies, the government of the Gambia. Current ratio, that's on the current liabilities. The liquidity ratio, current ratio for the reporting period was 0.8. This indicates the number of times our liquid assets, stocks, cash receivables, can be utilized to immediately pay our current liabilities within a year. In comparison to 2020, the liquidity ratio was 1.4. Profitability ratios. The gross profit margin for the reporting period was 15.4%. This was an improvement over 2020 that had a negative gross profit margin. Net profit margin. The net profit margin for the reporting period was 3.8%. This low net profit margin was mainly due to the high financing cost for the crop finance, which consumed 37% of the operating profit. However, this was an improvement over 2020 that had a negative net profit margin. The outlook for 2022. The final audit conducted by Accords Associates indicated that the corporation may continue to make slim profit margin in 2022. However, for the corporation to continue to operate profitably, it needs to be recapitalized in order to avoid the huge financing cost, which could otherwise be invested in dilapidated plants and machinery, and also pay dividend to the government of Gambia. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you so much, the Finance Director, for the detailed report. So the dependent on the fact that the presentation, as usual, we are only going to highlight issues that have been listed. With the highlight. We start with the opinion. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Honorable Chair. Please refer to page 5 of the financial statements. Honorable Chair, so I assume for the opinion, we can just give a summary of it, the main paragraph. Yeah? Okay. Page 5, top paragraph. Independent auditors report to the shareholders of the National Food Security Processing and Marketing Corporation, auditor's opinion. We have audited the accompanying financial statements of the National Food Processing and Marketing Corporation, Nfspmc, which comprise of the statement of financial position, the income statement, the statement of changes in equity, the cash flow statement, and notes to the financial statements, including a summary of the significant accounting policies applicable to the corporation. In our opinion, the financial statements give a true and a fair view of the financial position of the corporation as at 30th September 2021, and of its financial performance and its cash flows for the year that ended, in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles and in line with the requirements of the Companies Act 2013. This was signed by Augustus Prom, Audit Tax Advisory, Registered Auditors, dated 27 February 2023. Kindly refer to the management letter report, page 5. Just the observations. Yeah? Okay. Property, plant, and equipment observation. The following was noted during our review on the property, plant, and equipment of the corporation as of 30th September 2021. A. Asset verification. Upon our review and assessment of the controls in place for the monitoring and the safeguarding of assets by management, we requested for the annual asset verification report, but it was confirmed that this was not done on the period under review. B. Land valuation. During our review of the assets value of the corporation, we noted that land values of the various properties were not incorporated in the financial statements. C. Manual asset register. Upon our review of the asset register of the company, we noted an Excel manual system is being used instead of an automated register, considering the size of the corporation to manage a total assets of 229.3 million as at 30th September. And D. Insurance. 164.4 million worth of assets uninsured. An assessment was done on the insurance aspect of the assets in terms of safeguarding and to minimize the risk of huge financial losses due to unforeseen circumstances, and we noted that only vehicles were insured. The following asset categories were insured, totaling to 164.4 million. Please refer to page 8, fixed deposit investment appraisals.
No, can you go to the recommendation and recommendation?
Okay, so we read the whole point.
No, you go to the recommendation. Exactly, management responsibility.
Okay.
Page
6, recommendation. We recommend that management should look into the above to further improve on the controls, safeguarding, and recognition of assets for the corporation. An annual asset verification should be done and documented as evidence. The lands in the name of the corporation should be valued and recognized in the financial statements to ensure that the closing net book value of assets is not understated. The asset register should be automated to minimize the risk of errors occurring in the register, and the aspect of safeguarding should be reviewed by management in ensuring that there is adequate insurance coverage on key asset categories in line with recommended asset management practices.
Management have noted the recommendations and actions have been taken to implement accordingly. Management has upgraded the old SAGE system to a new SAGE, which can manage fixed asset register under its asset model. On the land valuation, the corporation will revalue its assets and ensure that the land values are incorporated in the list of assets. Manual asset register. Management has upgraded the old SAGE system to a new SAGE, which can manage fixed asset register under its asset model. On the insurance and safeguarding of the assets, management have noted the recommendations regarding the insurance of assets and will implement accordingly.
Okay.
Next, page 8.2, fixed deposit investment appraisal observation. For the year under review, an amount of 76 million was placed as fixed deposit investment with Reliance Financial Services. Upon discussions with management, it was confirmed to us that the authority does not have any documented investment appraisals with regard to fixed deposits to ensure that the bank in which the deposit has been placed offers the best investment returns in the money market. Recommendation. We recommend that investment appraisals should be done and documented for all fixed deposit investments, showing the various rates offered by the banks, which gives management a better bargaining position, thus creating better returns.
Management have noted the recommendation and actions will be taken to implement accordingly.
Page 9.3, receivables. The following was noted with regard to receivables. A, collateral valuation. From discussions with management, with the marketing manager, farmers and traders who receive pre-finance for either cash or granite are being asked to provide collateral, and in the case where land is presented as a collateral, it is the farmers or traders who ensure a professional values the land and presents a certificate to the corporation. A review was done on this process, and we noted management is placing reliance from the valuers selected by the farmers, instead of management having an approved list of valuers to ensure that the objectives of obtaining value for collateral is not defeated. B, sale of fertilizer and credit to the mixed farming centers. During the period under review, we noted a letter was sent from the Department of Agriculture stating that 25 farm centers were to be supplied 100 bags, 50 NPK and 50 urea. We further noted that supplies were made, but we would have expected a memorandum of understanding or agreement with the centers, but this was not provided by management as listed below. Recommendation, page 10. We recommend that management should ensure they provide the farmers a list of professional valuers for the valuation of assets to minimize the risk of providing misstated assets to the corporation as collateral. Furthermore, all credit supplies are to be backed with adequate documentation in line with recommended practice, and all pre-financing transactions are to be supported with title deeds.
On collateral valuation, the recommendation is noted. However, since the appointment of a legal manager for all asset values and documentation provided as collateral, our legal team and finance always verify the validity and assess the risk involved. Sale of fertilizer on credit to mixed farming centers. Management have noted the recommendation and actions will be taken to ensure its implementation accordingly.
Page 12.4, accounting system reporting format. Observation. Okay, grade 1. Page 16.6, sale of scrap metal. Observation. On the 26th of February 2020, we were provided with a correspondence from the Ministry of Finance and Economic Affairs with regard to the settlement of ITFC on behalf of the corporation amounting to $21 million loan from the Ministry of Finance and Economic Affairs to be refunded to the Ministry from the sale of scrap metals by the corporation. For a period under review, an amount of $6.409 million was recognized from the sale of scrap as other income, and this was not used to settle the Ministry of Finance and Economic Affairs. Recommendation. We recommend that management should ensure that loan obligations are settled as per the agreed terms and conditions.
Management have noted the recommendation regarding the repayment to the Ministry of Finance loan from scrap sales. A payment modalities will be proposed to the MOFIA for consideration.
Page 17.7, revenue analysis, observation. As at 31st of December 2021, an analysis was done on the revenue of the corporation for the last 3 years, and we noted a huge decline in revenue generated from nuts, from accounting for 65% of revenue in 2019 to only accounting for 21% of the total revenue in 2021 out of 1.017 billion, as listed below in the analysis. Recommendation. We recommend that management should look into the segment of operations and look into improving purchases of groundnuts to ensure machine idle time is minimized and government objectives are achieved on the purchasing of groundnuts.
The decline in revenue generated from nuts was as a result of the low intake of nuts from farmers. The corporation purchased a total of 2,225 and 7,300 metric tons of farmer stock for processing in 2020 and 2021 respectively. This was a drop of about 92% compared to 27,000 tons purchased in the previous financial year of 2019. Several factors contributed to this state of affairs. Low groundnut production affected the entire Senegambia region. Late start of the rains and a brief drought caused loss of seeds through poor or non-germination of their first planting. This resulted in lowering the final national area planted with groundnuts and hence reduced production. There was late disbursement of funds from the ITFC, which resulted in a brief shortage of cash and therefore loss of groundnuts to competitors across the border, even though the farm gate was favorable to farmers as it was higher than neighboring Senegal. Management have been working on diversifying into various other products to minimize risk and improve profits.
Page 26, high risk, point 12. Monitoring of weighing scales. Observation. The corporation uses scales in all the centers, which is key in the purchasing of groundnuts and cashew, considering weighing has to be performed before any payments are effected by management. We conducted a review on the controls in place on the different scales used by the corporation to ensure that the weight confirmed during purchase is accurate for all the 10 weighing stations under the corporation. Upon our review, we were only provided with only one testing report as evidence that a testing was conducted, which was done at the start of the trading season in 2020. Our recommendation. We recommend that these scales are tested on a frequent basis to minimize the risk of errors or irregularities occurring during the weighing process.
Management has noted the recommendation regarding testing of weighing scales. Our policy is for testing to be done at the start of the season by the relevant authorities and a certificate issued thereof. This was done by the Department of Weights and Measures accordingly.
Page 27.13, internal audit review. The following was noted during our review on the internal audit function of the corporation. A, audit charter and annual audit plan. We noted that the audit charter of the corporation is still in a draft form and the annual plan provided was not signed. And B, reporting in line with the work plan. Upon our review on the annual audit plan, we noted that the following areas were to be reviewed as per the work plan, but reports were not provided to ascertain that the exercise was conducted. 1, payroll, audit of payroll to ascertain the accuracy. 2, stores, ensure accountability of the corporation stores, including ground inventory. And 3, fixed assets, to ensure there is a proper maintenance and safeguarding of the corporation's assets, and assets are properly coded and fixed asset register maintained. Recommendation. We recommend that the audit charter is finalized and signed off for use by the unit, and all annual work plans are to be approved and signing off before the start of the year to support the unit with adequate planning. All areas of the work plan are to be reviewed and reported on to ensure that the work plan is covered.
Management have noted the recommendation regarding the audit charter and work plan. The audit charter is at the level at the level of the board of directors for consideration and approval. Due to the limited staffing, the annual audit plan will not be fully executed. Management will ensure that most audit staff are hired to effectively implement the annual audit plans.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the wonderful presentation. Mr. Chair, if you have anything to say, this has got the detailed end of the presentation, and for today is only presentation. So if you have anything to say before I finally close.
Honorable Chair, I just want to inform you that many of the recommendations have now been implemented. The subsequent reports will clearly indicate that we took them into account over the past years.
Thank you so much for the update, but I think you are coming here on the 31st January, that is on Wednesday, for consideration. Okay. And this is where we are going to deal with this in detail. Look at it and we'll go in for question and answer session regarding what is obtained on the ground. So now we are using on the report, we are also going to critique it and make sure that we highlight important areas that will be sent for you for questions. So we're expecting you to be here on the 21st January on Wednesday for consideration at 10 a.m. prompt. So on that note, I want to thank you for the usual cooperation from the board, the senior management, and the independent audit firm for the wonderful presentations and your cooperation. So we want to wish you a safe journey back to your different destinations. So on that note, you are good to go now.
Poja.